Halo Combat Evolved will go down in history as one of the most influential shooters of all time. It set the standard for console and even PC shooters going forward, and it was so great that its sequel set video game sales records within its first 24 hours of release, and this was done on hype alone. Saying this, is it possible for a humble mod to stand alongside this legend? The answer is yes. There, I just saved you 13 minutes. Go download it, it's good fun and free, so you have nothing to lose. Now if you don't mind, I'm going to make a terrible video on this wonderful mod. Fun fact, Bungie Studios was originally owned by Apple, and they were making Halo for Macs exclusively, but Microsoft came in and bought out the studio and had Bungie make Halo exclusively for their upcoming console, the Xbox. Many will agree that the sole reason why the Xbox was so successful was because Halo's success, and it was a no-brainer that Halo should see a PC release, since PC is home to some of the greatest shooters of all time, to which it did. The PC version was ported by Gearbox Software. Yeah, that Gearbox Software. Yeah, that Gearbox Software. And Gearbox made an interesting decision that was both extremely stupid and a stroke of absolute genius. They decided to release the tools made to create Halo Combat Evolved on the internet for free. This led to many mods that were pretty simple. Custom maps, game modes, levels, etc. and etc. This wasn't a full release of an engine like what has been seen in later years with the Unreal Engine and Unity and so on and so forth. So many of the creations that were made within Halo were small scale. That is, until Halo SPV3 came along. 12 years of development went into this mod, which puts it way past the status of a passion project, and man does it show. You can tell that the team behind this mod understands what made Halo Combat Evolved so great, but most importantly they understand its weaknesses and know which aspects of the game that haven't aged that well. It is true that Halo is a fantastic game, but I would be lying to you if I said it was perfect. The game had a few problems that at first glance seem like they don't really matter, but once you see the problems fixed, you understand how big of a deal they really are.
Echo 205 Cortana, I got a fleet of birds with reinforcements, but I can't take them down until those wraiths are destroyed. Easier said than done.
Halo SPV3 is an overhaul mod for the game, and the question is, what does it change? Everything. Absolutely everything. Not only were the graphics, textures, and models overhauled, but the weapons as well. Of course, we have the standard Halo Combat Evolved weapons, such as a legendary pistol, the assault rifle, the shotgun, sniper, plasma rifle, plasma pistol, needler, etc., etc. But there were more weapons added from other Halos, such as the ODST submachine gun, the battle rifle, the DMR, the brute shots, brute plasma rifle, and even more. What's even more impressive is that new and unique weapons were added, but the one that really stuck out to me the most was something that I always wanted to shoot in a Halo game. Oh, that's so cool. Why have Bungie and 343 never thought of this? The one gun that I wanted to shoot in every single Halo is the Hunter gun. And not only do you get to shoot one, but there are multiple types. Okay, so the weapon overhaul is great, but believe it or not, it's not the most significant change to the game. The most important change is to the level design. We all know the Halo mission in the original. After crashing on the Halo ring, you turn around and see the ring stretching up and around, but you move forward to regroup and help the stranded Marines. Once you fight off the waves of Covenant, you get a Warthog and drive through the cave. That can't be a natural formation. Activate the light bridge and then go and save the Marines. Now let's go back and look at the modded version of this mission. You crash land and pick up a DMR to go help the stranded Marines. The Covenant dropships now have jackals with sniper rifles on the side of them that shoot at you while they are coming in. The ships not only drop off grunts, jackals, and elites, but brutes as well. Once you clear out the waves, you get your Warthog dropped off and head towards the tunnel, and now there are dinosaur things running around. And actually, they're kind of cute. Once you make it to the other side of the cave, you have to save a couple groups of Marines that were captured by the Covenant. And after that, you are told that the UNSC has taken control of the structure, but are being attacked by the Covenant, who have wraiths and phantoms. After fighting off the siege, you make your way to the top of the structure to hijack an anti-air wraith to shoot down the remaining phantoms. Holy shit, that was epic! Then of course you finish out the mission like normal, but the point is that most of the levels in the game have major changes. The Pillar of Autumn was drastically expanded on and even includes a zero gravity section. You were given the ODST night vision with a silent sniper rifle for truth and reconciliation. The silent cartographer includes a much larger initial battle to really make it feel like a true siege on the island. The library has the Covenant in it now, who have split up and bunkered down to show that they panicked once the flood attacked, despite having hunters and wraiths on their side. And now those giant sentinel things seen in the library in Halo 2 help you get through the level. And that's only a few of the missions that saw changes, but honestly I don't want to spoil everything for you, because that's half the fun, is seeing everything that has changed. So the graphics, great. Gameplay, great. Weapons, great. Enemies, great. Level design, great. Marines, still retarded. So with everything that was done right and great, is there anything that the mod did wrong? Yeah. Now, before I say what wasn't so great, I want to be clear that I'm being extremely nitpicky here, because the overall experience is so fantastic that there are no real glaring or game-breaking issues. So I'm going to point out the smaller things, because this experience is so close to perfection that with a few minor changes, it can be perfect. So first, let's talk about the battle rifle. It sucks. It does significantly less damage to heavier targets such as brutes and elites than the DMR does, and for some reason when you scope in, it'll switch to a semi-automatic fire, which you can switch back to burst fire by pressing Q while scoped in, but at the same time the semi-auto mode is just as accurate as the burst fire, and it seems like it does less damage, so there really seems like there is no purpose. And on top of that, the DMR just makes the battle rifle completely useless because it is just better in every single way. Which, on a side note, the magnification for the DMR and battle rifle is way too high. But even more importantly, the battle rifle has a slight delay to the firing. When you click your left mouse, there is a minor delay until the weapon actually fires, which is actually a huge deal when you consider how important headshots are in Halo and how quickly enemies such as the jackals and elites move. And speaking of aim, there is mouse acceleration. Mouse acceleration is the absolute worst, but I did find a way to help with it by pressing the tilde key and typing mouse_acceleration 0 and pressing enter. This won't completely fix the issue, but it did help, and I also found that after typing this command I had to restart the game in order for it to actually take effect. Also, the animations, including enemy movement, launched with a default of 30 FPS, which was extremely jarring. And I think that whenever I went to the settings in the launcher and enabled this effect here, it fixed it and made the animations run at 60 FPS. And my final problem with the game is the enemy spawning, particularly on the Two Betrayals mission. It's odd. It seems as if there is a minor form of procedural generation in terms of what enemies spawn and what weapons they spawn with. I noticed this in the Halo mission when this elite would spawn with a death ray only about half of the time. Procedural generation has turned into somewhat of a naughty word due to games like No Man's Sky that depend on it, but in most cases it can be a good thing if it's just a minor aspect of the game. Not knowing what enemies will spawn when you replay a mission helps keep each playthrough fresh, and that seems to be the case here, but sometimes it gets a bit sloppy when there are a lot of enemies being spawned. For instance, on my stream, a ghost spawned on this bridge.
Is there a fucking ghost up here? What?
But when I came back after I died, it wasn't there, and sometimes it just seems like there are too many enemies being spawned into a small area. Also, what's with these floods spawning up here? It's not a huge deal, and most of the players won't even experience or notice this, but it would definitely help with the polish if this was cleaned up a bit. Oh yeah, and the Warthog escape section at the end of the game is still a pain to drive through. But really, that's it in terms of complaints, and the reason why I mention these things is because the developers actually listen. For instance, in Raytravik's review for a previous version of the mod, he mentioned how it was a bad choice and completely ruined the balance of the mission to give the Covenant wraiths on Truth and Reconciliation. And when I played through the current version of this mission, the Covenant didn't have access to the wraiths. I also suspect that the mouse acceleration and the delayed fire of the battle rifle may be related to the engine and can't be fixed, but I do believe that they could fix the overall strength of the battle rifle and the spawning issues, and maybe rework the level design of the ending Warthog section to make it smoother and less frustrating to drive through. With a few minor changes, this mod could be perfect, and I think that's a real testament to the quality of the mod. 12 years of development went into this mod. Just stop and think about that. They wouldn't do this unless they had an immense amount of passion, and every single bit of it shows in this mod. I'm going to bring up Hunt Down the Freeman because it's a similar story, but turned out to be a failure. Both games went out to reimagine a legendary game, and both are mods that are made by fans. But you know what the difference is? Halo SPV3 has passionate people behind it, who took their time to ensure that they did a good job. Halo Combat Evolved is a legend in gaming, and it casts a large shadow, and I don't believe that this mod stands in its shadow. No, I believe that this mod stands side by side with its legend, and that's the greatest achievement a mod could ever receive.